Greetings. Welcome to Investment Connection Oklahoma, a program of the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City and our Oklahoma City branch. Today, we're going to be presenting 8 different proposals from across Oklahoma that are all working to affect the lives of individuals in low and moderate income communities. We have a range of programs, 3 based in Oklahoma City, 3 based in Tulsa, and 2 that are statewide. Investment Connection is designed to allow you to see what is going on across our state, identify new partners, learn about new strategies that you can bring back home, and find ways to engage and support community needs. We established this program 10 years ago to meet the needs of bankers in particularly that were looking for projects for Community Reinvestment Act obligations. Many banks have these obligations but have a hard time finding new and innovative proposals to pursue. So we developed this program to make that connection. Over the years, this program has expanded. If we can move to the next slide, you'll see the number of, see, Alex, if you'd like to put the slide up. We're now going across the country. A number of the different Federal Reserve banks across the system have been implementing Investment Connection. Just within our district, we have seen about $60 million worth of connections made. And in Oklahoma, it's been around $7 million worth of connections. But that only tells part of the story. That is actual money and investments that have changed hands. They can be loans, investments, grants, some that will provide return of capital with interest, some that provide a subsidized rate. But that is one piece of the puzzle. We've also found a benefit to making new connections between organizations and potential funders for in-kind benefits, for opportunities to be on the boards of directors, to provide services, a number of different ways. So while we are here looking for connections around financing, we realize that there are many other ways to be involved in our communities. We can go to our next slide. So how will this work? Each presenter will have 7 minutes to give their presentation with 3 slides. And then there'll be a 3-minute period for questions and answers. As the person is presenting, please feel free to provide any questions you may have in the Q&A section that you'll see on your WebEx form. You can submit those, and then we will be presenting those questions to the presenters. At the end of the presentation, we'd like for you to take a look at the poll that will be available, showing your response. You'll see it now on the right. You're able to go in and say, yes, you would like to follow up with that organization. That organization sparked your interest. You'd like to learn more. You select yes, and then at the end of the meeting, we will provide you a list of all the organizations in the contact with their contact information. And then we provide each organization with the contact information of everybody that showed interest in them. It's their responsibility then to contact you and to follow up and start that conversation. That's where the role of the Federal Reserve stops. We provide the platform. You're able to then have that conversation, learn more about the organization, and see how you would like to participate in their project, support their project that was presented, or get involved in other opportunities they may have. Just by selecting yes is not a commitment for funding or a commitment for involvement. It's merely saying that yes, you are interested in learning more about their work and about the project that's being proposed. Great. So on to our next slide. With that, we will just start off. This is fast moving, quick paced. And so now then our first presenter is Luke Carmichael with Variety Care, talking about renovations for improved access to primary care. Lou?
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate the time to talk with you all today. One of the things that happened in the process of this is that the project that we submitted for consideration has actually been funded. We've been able to achieve what we wanted to do on that one. But we have three other capital projects that are of high interest to us. So if you could change the slide to the next one, I'll be glad to start. So Variety Care was established in 1932. We were deemed as a federally qualified health center in 1980. At the state level, we're the largest community health center in Oklahoma, and at the regional and national level, we're in the top 3 and 5% respectively. This year, our operating budget is about $66 million. We employ 650 people, and our financial health ratios are excellent. We've made a big impact in what's been invested in us over the years, serving 130,000 people this year. About 75,000 of those are clinical patients. We also have received the ARP dollars through the federal dollars for investment in startup and ramp up. So we have a very large pool of dollars to help us expand and do the ramp up costs, but none of that money can be spent on capital. So we want to leverage what we have in federal dollars already with capital investment so that we have really a once in a lifetime opportunity to expand access to care. Our biggest challenges that we face really is that we have demand every day that we cannot accommodate. We've got workforce shortages, so we know we've got to work on training and development of our own workforce, and we need capital for expansion. The biggest opportunities we have is that we do want to begin becoming a training health center, and we've applied for grant funding for that purpose. To train the new workforce in community-based care and to really move the system from volume to value. Medicaid expansion in Oklahoma has been an incredible opportunity for us. But now that we are really looking to not just expansion of coverage, but really how to manage care and lower costs and improve outcomes for the people in Oklahoma. Our mission is to make quality healthcare affordable and accessible, and we're very committed to that. Next slide, please. So the real current need that we have is documented by the fact that our call volume has doubled in the last 6 months. We normally take about 20,000 calls a month, and we're taking about 35 to 40,000 calls a month, wanting services, wanting testing, wanting access to the various services that we provide. We do provide medical, dental, vision, mental health, and WIC, which is women, infant, and children, and many social services that are on site. We are embarked upon this practice transformation and payment reform. We hope to be capitated by year end 2022, which gives us an opportunity to really begin to share risk with payers and to really transform the system to be better for patients. Since 2002, in terms of our response, we've been able to complete 14 building projects, very large renovation projects. We manage about 225,000 square feet of clinical space and 50,000 square feet of administrative space. So we know how to put these projects together. And we've leveraged over these many years philanthropic, new market tax credits, agency reserves, commercial lending, and federal grants. And it's through that braided strategy that we hope to accomplish these three critical new programs. Our new workforce programs have already begun. We're recruiting for an MA training program. We have been approved by the H.S. Still University to become a site for training. They do the didactic training in California, and they deploy PAs all across the country to work in community health centers. And so we've been secured as one of those first landings. So in 2022, we'll have 5 new PAs coming on site at Variety Care, and every year after that, 5 and then 10 every year once we get past the first 2 years. And then we have applied for, and we're very, very optimistic that we will become a teaching health center and establish a new family medicine residency program in partnership with OU, Norman Regional Hospital, and Integris. And we expect to have 2024 placements for those residents. Next slide, please. So this is our request for funding. It's a $27 million ask. We created the perfect floor plan. If you really believe in architecture, that form follows function, the way that health centers and many medical centers are built, they don't follow the form of integration. The function is integration, but if you're still trying to work with the form or the floor plans that are siloed in departments or in different places, you'll never really get to team-based care where the medical provider, the mental health provider, the reception, the social worker, the clinical pharmacist, and all the other aspects of care team management located in the same space. It's lean technology. It means fewer steps for everybody. It means the patient can get what they want really without even having to walk down the hallway. So that is the floor plan that we're going to use. We've built this building already in North Oklahoma City, and we plan to rebuild it again in Norman and in Yukon. We've targeted very high demand areas in our own scope of projects. So these are very logical expansions into Cleveland County and into Canadian County, where we have small sites already, but we need to build these 30,000 square foot sites in those areas. This will give us capacity to serve about 70,000 new patients. It will also create the capacity for us once they're built to be able to have 40 new training positions, 35 licensed professionals through their projects, and 125 support staff for a total of 200 new jobs. So that impact that we've been able to accomplish before, we've proven that we can do it. So those are the two for access. The third one is the training center, $5 million ask. We've already secured the land for that. And we will then rotate the MAs through our clinical sites once they've had their didactic classroom training. So those are my projects that I want to talk with you about. We know that we're going to continue to follow on federal opportunities, state opportunities, local, philanthropic, new markets where they make sense. And we also know there'll be some need for commercial lending, because even if we are able to raise all those dollars, they're very likely to be multiple year grants or donations. And so we'll need a bridge strategy so we can get going on these projects. We're really shovel ready on all three of them. And we're looking for funding to get this dream to come true. Thank you, Steve. I'll take questions if anybody has any.
Great, thank you, Lou. Sounds like many different financing options are available there depending on the funder's interests. One question that came in was, what is your overall coverage area? Who do you serve?
We are in 5 counties. We're in Oklahoma County, Canadian County, Cleveland County, Caddo County, where we've got 2 sites, Anadarko and Fort Cobb, and then we're down in the big pasture area in Granfield, Oklahoma. So those are where our sites exist, but we serve patients who give their home address in 47 Oklahoma counties. That, particularly in the western part of the state, that's how far people have to traverse to get access to quality, affordable care.
Good. And what is your timeline on the Norman project?
We would love to start building in the Norman project. We'd love to start building in 2022. We've already got, as I said, we've got the model. We're not going to have to do a lot. We're going to have to put it on the site, but we know what the plan is. It won't take a lot of time for the architecture. It's just the funding to get that done. We are reaching out to state appropriations, to municipal appropriations, though there are some dollars available that these projects meet all of the needs for ARP funding. So we hope that there'll be some support for that.
All right. Another question for the $27 million ask. Is it in the form of a loan, or are you open for discussion around the type of financing?
Well, we hope that there'll be some federal support and state support to lower what we're going to need on a commercial lending basis, but we know we're going to have a commercial lending strategy, at least for bridge funding, if not for a lot of it. I mean, and the other thing too is that we've already got the startup costs paid for. We've got the sustainability plan. Medicaid expansion helped a lot with that. We take care of about 20,000 uninsured patients, and about half of them will qualify for Medicaid under expansion.
Okay. And one last question is, how do you determine if an individual is low or moderate income? Do you have a way of tracking that to be able to present to a bank and showing them?
You mean our low? How do we demonstrate they are low income?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Yeah, anytime our patients require the sliding scale, we base our fees based on household income and size, and for that we need either their tax return or their paycheck. And so we have that documentation. We report to the feds every year.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Lou. I certainly appreciate this presentation.
Thank you.
And so now that we're going to go from Oklahoma City over to the other side of the state, and we'll hear from Carla Davis with Goodwill Industries of Tulsa, and she will be talking about the Financial Resilience Accelerator. work that they are doing. Carla?
Thanks, Steve, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carla Davis, and I'm representing Goodwill Industries of Tulsa. We have many traditional workforce development programs that are worthy of your investment, but today I want to highlight our Financial Resilience Accelerator, the Tulsa Financial Empowerment Center, and Bank On. The first slide. Both of these opportunities help improve the financial resilience of low and moderate income households in complementary ways. Clients who seek out the Financial Empowerment Center and who benefit from Bank On are predominantly people in low and moderate income communities. And the next slide, please. The Tulsa Financial Empowerment Center is a source of professional, free financial counseling for Tulsans. The Tulsa Financial Empowerment Center is a result of a grant for the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund of New York. We call them the CFE, to the city of Tulsa. Goodwill was selected by the city as the nonprofit partner to provide one-on-one free financial counseling as a service of the city. The thinking is that in much the same way the city of Tulsa is responsible for police and fire protection, snow removal, trash services, the city also has a hand in developing financial resilience among its residents. The Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund provided a 2-year grant to begin the program, and we've combined that with other public and private funds to launch the Tulsa Financial Empowerment Center, and we call it the FEC, and that is in the funnel diagram. Our financial counselors are certified by both the National Association of Certified Credit Counselors and by the Cities for Financial Empowerment to serve our clients. Our aim is to meet our clients where they are and to identify the specific steps to help achieve their financial goals. These goals usually fall into 4 general areas of savings, debt, credit scores, and delinquent accounts. I noted in the top right that since our launch in December of 2020, our clients have increased their savings by more than $40,000 and reduced their debt by more than $30,000. Since ours is a pretty new program, I want to share the national demographics of participants in other cities' FECs, and that's on the bottom left. So you can see that the individuals that we serve are usually kind of middle-aged. Most are women. Average income is less than $20,000. Race, ethnicity break down pretty evenly along the race and ethnicity lines. Predominantly, they are renters. In our limited experience, our clients tend to be just a little younger than average, and we serve slightly more women. And here's how you can invest in this program. You can sponsor a full-time financial counselor who will serve 200 people and have approximately 600 appointments per year for $65,000, a cost of $325 per person served. The counselor can either be co-located physically or virtually at your location, or you can refer clients to the FEC counselor who will work either virtually or in person from our Financial Empowerment Center on Yale Avenue or on Southwest Boulevard in Tulsa. Since we launched this program during the pandemic, we are adept at serving clients in the virtual space, either by video conference or by phone. Think about your customers and those who want to be customers. Those folks who come to your banking center or your branch, but you can't serve their needs for a loan or a credit card or some other service. Right now, you just have to say, I'm sorry. But what if you could offer real help and invite those customers to return to your institution after they improve their circumstances? People are likely to remember that kind of help. A related program in the financial resilience area is Bank On Tulsa. And that's on the next slide, please. I'm sure you've heard about the Bank On program nationally, but what you might not know is that Tulsa has its very own Bank On program. Bank On's goal is to increase access to safe, affordable, no surprises bank and credit union accounts, ideally in the depositor's neighborhood. While there are several national banks involved and a couple of regional and Oklahoma banks as well, thanks to a previous bank on project, mainly in the Oklahoma City area, as it is with most good things, more is better. The statistics show that 8.8% of people in the Tulsa MSA are unbanked. The Tulsa area recently reached 1 million in population. That means there are roughly 88,000 people who need a safe, no surprises, functional certified bank on account. The average unbanked resident spends up to $40,000 over a lifetime in extra service fees for things like check cashing and money orders. Apply a little math to that $40,000 over an 80-year lifetime, it's $500 per year times 88,000 people, and that's $44 million per year that households could use for purchases and savings to help their families just in the Tulsa area. And the benefits of having an account are big. In addition to financial institutions being a safer and more convenient place for money, financial counseling clients who have or get an account at a financial institution save more and build a better credit score. More than half of the Bank On certified accounts are opened by residents of minority neighborhoods, and 85% of new Bank On certified accounts were opened by customers who were new to the financial institution. Finally, products certified as meeting the National Bank On standards support CRA service test examinations. There are many opportunities for investment in our Bank On Tulsa work. Our grant from the Cities for Financial Empowerment covers only 2/3 of our program costs. So we need $23,000 more this year and next year to meet our expenses. We also need more Bank On certified accounts in Tulsa, and we will walk with you through the process of developing your account that will meet the national standards. We need representatives from financial institutions who will reach out with us to our community to open Bank On certified accounts, either online or in person. And we need volunteers who can be speakers on various financial topics and other expertise like tax returns for our VITA program. So wherever your interest in financial resilience lies in our community, Goodwill Tulsa's Financial Resilience Accelerator has a place for you to follow your heart. My team and I would love to help find the right opportunities for you.
Thanks so much,
And
Paula. I had one quick question. Is the financial empowerment centers are a new program in Tulsa, and you mentioned 2 specific locations. Is there a plan to expand the number of physical locations?
Right now, we have 3 counselors in 2 locations. I would love for us to have as many counselors as they do in New York City, which is like 60. But realistically, we probably are closer to Nashville, and they have 11 counselors at 4 locations. So one thing we did look at was an unused banking center as another home for the FEC and VITA. So if you have an extra banking center laying around that you might want to donate, we take that too.
Okay. So you laid out a couple of different ways to be involved. One would be to provide space. You mentioned that. You mentioned volunteers to do training in different ways and earn income tax credit. It seems like also opening bank accounts. And then on the investment opportunity that you're looking for, the funding, do you see that as a grant, as a line of credit, as a subsidized loan? What kind of funding are you looking for?
I'm looking for grants.
Okay. Good. And then the financial empowerment centers are open to the public to walk in. How do you determine is there an eligibility? Do you work with anyone? How do you know? How can you show that they are low and moderate income for funders?
Yeah, one of the first things that we do with individuals who come see us is a financial health assessment, and that includes their income, their current income. We actually are open to everyone, but people who have means usually go hire their own financial counselor when they need it. So that's the we don't turn anyone away, but we do serve mostly people with
Right. You
lower
can show that.
moderate income.
Great.
Yep. And we collect that information. We can demonstrate it.
Great. Well, it's great to have this program in Oklahoma and its relationship with the national initiatives. That's super to see. Now, I would like to turn all the audience's attention to two things real quick. One is you'll notice the polling on the screen. So you can select yes if you're interested in meeting with Carla to learn more about this. You're also able to go back to Lou Carmichael's presentation and click on that. So make sure that on every presentation you continue to go and look at that and put your preference there. Also, on that same side, you'll notice polling. I'm sorry, not polling, but Q&A. Please provide any questions that you may have for the presenters, and we'll ask those questions of the presenters. So please, we've had some great ones so far. Please continue to send on your questions. Thank you, Carla. Appreciate it. Now then, we're going to go to our next presentation from New View, Oklahoma. Jack McMahon will be presenting on Readable Tech, an innovative technology solution. Jack?
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. New View, Oklahoma is a social enterprise nonprofit company operating in Oklahoma City, but providing services statewide, aimed to provide or improve the lives of people who are blind or disabled and have low vision in every stage of life. Readable is a wholly owned and operated division of New View. We provide digital accessibility solutions to businesses and agencies throughout the state of Oklahoma. Next slide, please. There is a compelling reason why digital accessibility is so important to us and to the citizens we serve. There are over 600,000 Oklahomans with disabilities in the state. Sometimes that number surprises people. This is a disparate group comprising people with mobility, sensory, and cognitive disabilities. Almost all areas of those three disability types are increasing, but certainly with the baby boomer wave still blowing through our population centers, that number is exploding, particularly in the area of sensory disabilities. What's really compelling is that these people depend on digital communications for their life and livelihood. Yet 90% of the websites in the state and an equal amount of web content, including documents stored in PDF format, are not accessible or usable by these citizens. And that problem showed up dramatically during the pandemic in four critical areas, certainly in the area of transportation, healthcare, education, and employment, where things like schedules, routes, maps, safety notices, the emergence of telehealth, the conversion of classroom teaching to a new culture of virtual communications at home or from home, online storage of documents, instructions, access to reading resources. So it was a very, very dramatic impact, but never any greater than the area of employment, where citizens who were looking for a job had a hard time finding them. Job notices, job schedules, job applications were very difficult, if not impossible, for many citizens to come by. New slide, please. There's a business mandate for addressing this problem, and the first of which, and possibly the most important, is that there is a compelling demand from boards of directors, from the federal government, from our audience and customers for the growth and recognition of DEI in the workplace. Lack of diversity, lack of equity and inclusion is certainly fueling the needs for legal recourse among people with disabilities and others who are filing complaint at an ever increasing number. The number of complaints to the Department of Justice has increased in the area of digital communications, which is leading all sources of complaints for accessibility. But the increase has been 30% or more year over year for the last 5 years. The most important thing, though, is yes, there is legal threat. Yes, there is the need for diversity and equity. But what you are doing by not allowing your customer to access your website, which increasingly becomes the gateway to your business, is you're literally hanging out a shingle saying, you, Mr. Customer with a disability, are not welcomed here. If they can't get in, if they can't read your content, if they can't work with you, then certainly they feel like they are not welcomed, and so they're going to be taking their purchase dollars or utilization dollars elsewhere. We calculate, at least our estimate is, that this is a $100 million market. That's our cost, or that's what our projected costs are for the remediating of websites and web content, particularly PDF documents, in order to repair them, to make them usable, readable, accessible by people with disabilities is a large market opportunity. Next slide, please. The Readable team is a newly formed team. We have about 10 months of business under our belt. We're generating revenue today. Our pathway forward is about a 24-month to break even. We hope to do it sooner. If we hit the goals you're going to see below, we will do that sooner. And what we do is provide audits to our customer. The audit is a scan of websites and web content to identify, evaluate, and score deficiencies on either the website in terms of an accessibility status or content, particularly PDF documents. And as you all know, there are millions of PDFs that are stored today, but lots of our clients don't know how many PDFs they have. They don't know when they're last opened. They don't know whether they are being opened, and they don't know how accessible or usable they are. And even though we do pay attention, and our customers do pay attention historically to their website, there's not much attention being paid to web content, which is really critical. From our audits, we generate an audit report, which we share with our clients. The audit report can be delivered once or repeatedly. The audit report actually provides actionable information so that customer can develop a plan to attack remediation and correction on their website. The plan is based on the customer's budget, their staffing ability, the time demand that they have on making remediation, and their own internal goals. That once that plan has been established, we can execute. We actually deliver information to a web developer, showing them where their problems are. We also show them how to, or we provide remediation for PDFs, and we provide a host of training programs from fundamental ADA all the way to showing them how to make new, original, accessible documents. Our goal for this year, this coming year, is to review 20 websites, look at 50,000 web pages. And in order to do that, we've got to expand our staff, which means that we're asking for $50,000 to expand a space that we already have to remodel the office, to add furniture, and to provide a connectivity for the new team member. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. On the ask for $50,000, how do you see that? Is that a grant or a loan? How are you looking? What would you be willing to entertain?
We would entertain it always. We would prefer to see it in the form of a grant. Yeah, we would prefer it that way.
Given this is a social enterprise, would an equity investment be a possibility?
It could be.
Okay. Right. And then the work that you're doing, is your market in Oklahoma, serving Oklahoma companies and agencies, or are you expanding beyond that?
Our focus right now is Oklahoma only. The $100 million number you saw there was Oklahoma entities purely. It includes state agencies, municipalities, and a range of of larger organizations, larger private businesses in Oklahoma, including banks, law firms, healthcare providers, educators, those types of business categories.
And so I guess while you're asking for the 50,000 to support the work, you'd also be looking for some customers like banks to be able to use your services.
We're absolutely looking at for customers, and we think that the list of businesses I just listed have an extremely high need. Their customers need to be accessing their service or find ways to access their service. And for example, filling out forms to make an application is very difficult and not impossible based on a lot of current bank forms. That's certainly true also with healthcare providers. We're already working with educators. We're working with a large university currently. The university is blind in terms of knowing how many documents they've got and which ones need to be corrected. But naturally, they're students. They're trying to serve students with disabilities. And if a student can't read a document or access the website, it's really a tough road.
And it seems like a part of this is creating employment opportunities for people with disabilities. Is that the majority of the staff, or do you have goals around that for the staff?
100% of our, I'm sorry, Steve, 100% of our team are people with disabilities. And really you can, with a team of people who are disabilities, they kind of live their service. So they understand accessibility and usability from the standards set forth in federal guidelines, web content accessibility guidelines, which cover all forms of disabilities, ranging from the ability to use a keyboard to being able to see the content, hear the content, or understand the content. So those are all critical in terms of compliance with federal guidelines, and our team represent that kind of demographic.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Jack. Appreciate the proposal and the presentation. I just want to refer the participants, the audience, to our online portal. You received a link in your materials this morning that will send you to the online portal, and you'll be able to go and see NewView's complete proposal with more information, as well as see the proposals from the other presenters today. All of that is online on our portal, so you can delve into that some more. And then also, just one more time to remind you to please make a selection on the response form. And again, just a quick reminder that by selecting yes, that means you are interested in learning more about that. So for example, in this proposal, learning more about either being a client or about being a partner in doing this work through funding. But it is only showing interest. It just sets everyone up to have a conversation, to learn more, and to move forward. No obligations assumed. Okay, with that, we're going to move to our next presenter, Jenna Morey with Remerge of Oklahoma County, and talking about Remerge's diversion program. Jenna?
Hi, thanks so much for having us today. We're excited to tell you a little bit about what we do. If we can move on to the next slide. So Remerge of Oklahoma County is a pretrial diversion program, and we serve mothers who are pregnant or have minor children and are facing nonviolent felony charges in Oklahoma County. They are high risk, high need, and so they are women who most people might think of as hopeless. They have had high contact with the criminal justice system. They have significant substance use disorder and mental health issues. And so we really take those hardest cases who are facing prison time. On average, our moms are facing 7 years in prison. And instead of going to prison, they come to our program. They're referred through the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office, and they receive holistic treatment. When they graduate, they are reunited with their children. They are employed. They are in safe and stable housing and no felony charges. So they are able to go and live the lives that they were meant to live with their children, free from addiction and living in economic stability. And so our program really focuses on keeping families and our communities together. We know that when we send mothers to prison, not only are we creating huge knock-on effects for their children who are 7 times more likely to go back to prison if their mom went to prison, but we are also tearing at the very fabric of our community. And so Remerge, through treatment, recovery, and hope, works on restoring mothers to their children and to our community. Next slide, please. So these are all of the services that Remerge provides to our participants. They come in and we provide them with all of their housing for the majority of the program. They receive food, safe and sober housing, clothing, transportation assistance, access to healthcare. We work on them with addiction recovery, mental health care, coping skills, dental care, well woman care, and nutrition. On the family side, we work on family reunification, parenting skills, child development, domestic violence advocacy, and DHS court advocacy. And then finally, we work on education and employment. So making sure that they are getting that GED that they need to go out into the workforce, understanding what careers are available to them, developing soft skills and technical skills so that they are marketable to employers, building their resume, job search assistance, and finally, working to create career pathways to place them in employment. Next slide. Over the last 10 years, Remerge is celebrating our 10th birthday this year. We have served 149 Remerge graduates. And so that's 149 distinct families that we have helped. They have a combined 372 children. We have only a 4% recidivism rate in the last 3 years. And that's compared to a 20% recidivism rate of the Department of Corrections. And recidivism refers to someone reoffending and ending up back in the criminal justice system. We have also saved the state $32 million in the last decade. We are better at rehabilitating people. We are more efficient and we're also cheaper. And so we are, no matter which way you slice it, if you are interested in keeping families together, we are obviously excelling at that compared to putting someone in prison, but also just from an economic standpoint, we are putting people back into the workforce and keeping families together and bringing great savings to our state. So 2 of the areas that we're really focused on growing in, the first is education and employment. We know that joblessness is the #1 risk factor that someone would reoffend and end up back in prison. And that's because they get stuck in a poverty trap and chaos re-enters their life, and those addiction issues that they've been battling against can come back up and they can end up right back where they didn't want to be. And so getting someone into stable employment where they have family sustaining wages to provide for their families is imperative. So we are working on providing post-secondary training opportunities and credentials so that we get moms not just in a job, not working fast food, not working for $8.25 an hour. We're getting them into career pathways where they can really support their families. Secondly, we're working on growing Remerge continuing care. We know that aftercare programs, relapse rates, if you're not engaged in an aftercare program, is nearly 100%. And so this is an area that we're continuing to grow in and creating a home for our graduates that they can always come back to. And so that's kind of where we stand today with our current funding level. What we're asking from you is $225,000 to help serve 10 more women a year. So right now we currently serve about 50 women a year, 50 women at a time, which is about 75 women a year. And we're asking for your help in improving that number to 60 women at any given time. With your help, that will allow us the opportunity to be bridge funding to grow our organization. And so we actually just finished strategic planning today with our board, and we are looking at growing the number of people that we serve and also the area that we serve potentially out of Oklahoma County by working with adjacent counties and Cleveland and Canadian counties, and also potentially with the McGirt rulings, working with tribes in Oklahoma. We are only one of 5 organizations like ours in the country. So bringing lots of innovation to the work that we do and to the state of Oklahoma. And so we are asking for your help with that $225,000 to grow our program until we are able to establish federal funding that will be a sustainable funding source from the Bureau of Justice Affairs. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you today and to talk about our moms. They are truly special. It's amazing what can happen in someone's life in just 2 years when we invest in their future. So we certainly appreciate the opportunity to tell their story to you today, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Jenna. Great presentation, and really being responsive to a real need in the community. And on the $225,000 you're looking at to expand growth, I assume that would be a grant,
Yes.
right? And has Remerge looked at pay for success models? Has there been any experience with that?
We have. We actually just landed a pay for success model this year in partnership with the Department of Corrections, and would certainly be open to continuing that conversation as well. And we will continue to need funders to step into that pay for success model between us and that. The one we have now is goes through MetaFund, and the Department of Corrections are our partners on pay for success.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's still a very innovative new approach to funding in the nonprofit sector, and it's great to see that being done here in Oklahoma. And also underlying just Remerge is 1 out of 5 organizations that is doing this type of work, this model, which is great to see. Also, in terms, another potential way of being involved is on the employer side, potentially. Are you looking for employers?
We are always looking for employers, yes. If you are interested in serving as an employer, please reach out and get in touch with us. We are really looking at getting our moms, as I said, into careers. We also run a Fair Chance Employer Network, and so we have over 40 employer partners that we work with and talk specifically and provide training for employers who are looking to employ justice-involved individuals like Remerge moms.
And I'll just underline for the bankers in the audience and for others new to Community Reinvestment Act obligations and opportunities. One is that a banker can be involved as a volunteer in an organization and have that count towards community reinvestment if they're using their banking skills. So if they're working in financial education, if they're a lender, if they're helping to review lending opportunities, if they're in the marketing department for a bank and they're volunteering to do marketing, any of those types of activities skills they have in their day job can translate to their volunteer activities. And so I just bring that up not only for Remerge, but for as you think about all of these different opportunities, there may be ways of being engaged at that level as well to bring up. Well, thank you very much, Jenna. Appreciate it. And
Thank you.
I'm sure that everybody in the audience is clicking on that response form. And please continue to review that. We're going to move now to our next presentation, to our next slide. We have Kristen Mon from the Tulsa Authority for Economic Opportunity. We'll be discussing the new Affordable Housing Trust Fund in Tulsa. Kristen?
Good afternoon. My name is Kristen Mon, and I am the Director of Housing Development and Incentives for the Tulsa Authority for Economic Opportunity, or TAO. We are innovators who create and manage public assets and financial resources to drive economic growth in the city of Tulsa. We continuously invest in Tulsa, our neighborhoods, our people, and our economy with the goal of leveraging these resources to create economic opportunity and eliminate disparities. We envision a future where race, nativity, gender, or zip code do not determine economic opportunity, and all people are able to contribute to the maximum of their potential to create and share in Tulsa's economic disparity. At TAO, we are committed to solving the city of Tulsa's affordable housing crisis. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, the city of Tulsa had an inadequate supply of affordable housing. Would you please go to the next slide? Thank you. 46% of renter households in Tulsa are cost burdened, meaning they spend more than 30% of their income on housing costs. Currently, there are 4,500 households on the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher waitlist, and not enough affordable housing units to meet that need. Cost burdened renters are more likely to be evicted or lose their homes. They're often one financial setback away from homelessness. 1 in 13 renter households in Tulsa have experienced an eviction filing. Those households experience an even greater barrier to accessing housing because many landlords will not rent to a household with a history of an eviction filing. Over the last year, our housing crisis has worsened. In August 2021, we had an occupancy rate of almost 96%, which means there are not enough vacant units to meet current demand. Rental property owners have reported listing their units for sale or putting off repairs and other capital improvements due to the financial hardship during the COVID-19 pandemic, decreasing our overall affordable housing supply and the quality of units that are available. We need 4,500 affordable units in Tulsa to ensure that Tulsans have access to affordable housing opportunities. We also need to create resources that will help tenants with barriers to housing, such as a history of eviction or access to quality housing opportunities. In February 2021, the City of Tulsa launched the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, a citywide fund for production and preservation of affordable housing through affordable rental housing development, home buyer assistance, landlord incentives, and rental assistance. $9 million in seed funding was committed by the City of Tulsa and philanthropic donors to create a flexible, efficient method of lending and grant making to support affordable housing in Tulsa. Existing federal resources for development are often difficult for developers to access, requiring a high level of institutional knowledge and administrative burden. And there are no current federal funding resources that can be used for innovative programs like landlord incentives. Through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, the City of Tulsa can provide funding to address the unmet housing needs in our community. We are now seeking $5 million in funding for the affordable housing development and landlord incentive programs to create quality, affordable housing opportunities for City of Tulsa residents. Next slide, please. Thank you. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund, through its Affordable Housing Development Program, provides gap financing in the form of a zero-interest 10-year loan to developers for new construction, rehabilitation, and preservation projects to increase the stock of affordable rental housing in Tulsa. A unit is considered affordable if the rental rate does not exceed 30% of a household's income, that is at or below 60% of the average median income as set annually by HUD. This standard ensures that the household will not be cost burdened and is consistent with the subsidized rental assistance programs currently available. Developers must commit at least 10% of the units in a single family portfolio or a multifamily project to be affordable for at least 15 years. Already, we've received an enthusiastic response from experienced affordable housing developers, as well as market rate developers interested in incorporating affordable units into their projects. In the last 6 months, $1.7 million has been approved for 5 projects that will produce and preserve 69 affordable housing units in the City of Tulsa. Funds are being used for a variety of housing types, from single family to missing middle to mixed income multifamily properties. With $4 million, we would be able to produce and preserve at least 100 affordable units. The average request so far is $25,000 per unit, so that could be increased to as many as 160 units with $4 million. As the funds are repaid to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund over the next 10 years, we will be able to continue to reinvest and create a revolving loan fund to support affordable housing development in Tulsa. Next slide, please. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund also provides grants to agencies to create landlord incentive programs. Through these programs, landlords are offered incentives to work with tenants who are low income, receiving government assistance, have been justice involved, or have past evictions. As previously mentioned, many tenants experience barriers to accessing affordable housing due to a history of eviction. Landlords frequently perceive these tenants as threats or as risks and refuse to rent to them. Through these grants, agencies will work with low-income tenants who have barriers to housing, and funds are used for risk mitigation, including repairs, unpaid rent, utilities in the tenant's name, or vacancy payments related to unit preparation. An example of a landlord incentive program is a landlord guarantee fund. When a landlord rents to a tenant through an agency with a landlord guarantee fund, the agency guarantees to reimburse landlords for unpaid rent, utilities, or damages caused by the tenant. These funds are able to increase the effectiveness of other federally funded programs, such as rapid rehousing, by incentivizing landlords to rent to tenants receiving assistance who they may not have otherwise been willing to work with. In the last 6 months, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund has funded 3 landlord incentive programs through the Tulsa Day Center, Tulsa Cares, and Housing Solutions. With $250,000 in funding total for all 3 programs, they estimate 260 low-income households will be able to obtain stable housing. With a grant of $1 million to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we will be able to fund programs that will serve approximately 1,000 households a year. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is an innovative opportunity for the City of Tulsa to address the affordable housing crisis through flexible, efficient lending and grant making in a way that no other existing organization or resource can. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kristen. I think one question that came up was your geography of service. What is the area that you cover?
The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a citywide fund. So we have had requests for citywide programs through landlord incentive programs. We've had a variety of requests for projects ranging from North Tulsa to West Tulsa. We also do work closely with programs such as the Vibrant Neighborhoods Partnership. So we try to collaborate. Since we're citywide, we also are able to collaborate with other geographic specific programs within the city.
Okay. And on the request for $4 million in funding, do you see that, or what size of investment would you like to see? What size loans? Do you have a minimum?
Well, we would like to receive $4 million in grant funding for our development program and $1 million for our landlord incentive program. In terms of the loans that we've been making through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, these have ranged from small. I think our smallest one was $187,000 to a developer for the rehabilitation of 10 single-family homes, but then have been able to increase up to $500,000 for a much larger project that is focused on creating a mixed income neighborhood trust. So really we look for a sizable grant donation because through that we're able to support both small and large projects.
Okay. So you're looking for $4 million in grant funding, basically as capital to fund your services. Okay.
Yes.
Great. And you said that, this issue has been pre-existed the pandemic, but the pandemic has made it even more apparent and more dire, particularly on the landlord incentives, I would suppose.
Yes, absolutely. So we've been very fortunate in the city of Tulsa to receive a lot of federal resources for things like rental assistance programs or for rapid rehousing. But those are limited in their effectiveness when we can't engage with landlords who perceive those tenants as potential risks. So that's where we have the need for a unique resource like landlord incentive programs to engage and support those landlords in the city of Tulsa who are working with low-income tenants who are in most significant need of stable housing.
And then many of the landlords have their own mortgages that they are paying on, financing that they are paying on to banks. Do you see any role for any way that banks can be involved in this to support their borrowers in a sense?
Absolutely. I know that often I work with mom and pop landlords who rely on that steady rental income to pay their mortgages. And while the landlords are willing to engage with programs like rental assistance, when they experience a delay in getting paid by rental assistance, they in turn have a delay in their ability to pay their mortgage. So I think there's often opportunities for collaboration between financial institutions, landlords, and the agencies that serve tenants to ensure that everyone's needs are met, especially over time as we continue to have investments from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and from other federal resources.
And I'll just return back to the $4 million in funding through grants. Would you be open to look at other options like lines of credit or no interest loans that could be repaid through the things along those lines. Are you open to that?
I think there's definitely opportunities for lines of credit as well as zero interest loans. I think one of the unique ways that TEO, or the Tulsa Authority for Economic Opportunity, is able to position itself is we work with developers not just on things like the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, but helping them to access a variety of resources that make their projects pencil out and make them successful. So we'd be more than willing to talk to and work with financial institutions who want to be part of helping to increase affordable housing development in the city of Tulsa.
Excellent. So many other opportunities there. Well, thank you so much, Kristen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
On to our next slide as we make this transition. I think everybody knows the drill to go to the poll and make a selection. Now I'd like to introduce Emily Ray with Center for Employment Opportunities, talking about their vocational services for formerly incarcerated individuals. Emily?
Thanks, Stephen. And as everyone else has expressed, very much thank you for letting us share what we're doing here in our communities and having the opportunity to present our asks to you all. So you can go ahead and go to our first slide, please. So Center for Employment Opportunities, or CEO, provides immediate, effective, and comprehensive employment services exclusively to individuals who have recently returned home from incarceration. We began as a demonstration project of the Barrett Institute of Justice in the 1970s to address employment barriers faced by individuals after their release. We became an independent 501c3 nonprofit in 1996 and began an expansion to key high-need, high-impact locations back in 2009. We now operate in 30 cities across 12 states, and we've been operating here in Oklahoma City for 8 years. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So we believe that anyone with a criminal record who wants to work has the preparation and support needed to find a job and stay connected to the labor force. So we have a core employment program model, and it consists of 4 phases specifically designed to help people recently released attached to employment and desist from crime. So our model combines job readiness training, paid transitional work, job placement. Oh, can you go back to the previous slide, please? Sorry, thank you. Job placement assistance and post-placement retention services. So our model begins with that workplace orientation and life skills training, after which participants immediately begin transitional work, earning a daily paycheck and learning basic work skills. And this year, we're really proud that we were able to increase our participant wages on our transitional crews from $7.25 to $9.50. So that's made an incredible impact on our participants' financial stability, especially during this transitional time that they're with us. And concurrently, along with the transitional work, participants work with our vocational staff to find and retain full-time job placements. And then once they're placed, our participants are eligible for a full year of retention services, where we are following up with them and providing support to ensure their success in that job. Now you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So with your partnership, hardworking, formerly incarcerated individuals can receive the support they need to build more stable lives for them and their families. We had originally asked to support our programs in Oklahoma and Colorado, but today we respectfully request $50,000 for our Oklahoma City office to support the strengthening and expansion of our evidence-based model here in the greater Oklahoma City area. And I'd like to close with a participant story that recently just represented very well the challenges that our participants often face when they come to us, and then that comprehensive support that we're able to provide them while they're in our program. We recently had a participant Melissa, who came to our office with a lot of anxiety about her specific background and addressing it with future employers. She had a lot of really extensive job experience, but was concerned that she wasn't going to be able to get connected back into the industry that she loved based on her background. She actually almost quit our program because she felt she was just never going to be able to get past that conviction. She had gone to previous interviews, and that became kind of the highlight in every interview, and that was always the no that she heard. So we spent a lot of time coaching Melissa to stay positive, believe in herself. We coached her on her interviewing skills, kind of to build her confidence in addressing her story. While she was with us, she was able to use her daily wages from our transitional crews to pay off her driver's license fees. And so she was able to get her driver's license reinstated, which obviously qualified her for a better job. And we ended up connecting her with a job with one of our top employer partners, Cintas. And she is still there today, has really enjoyed being there, and has retained that job since she went. And so those are the kinds of stories that obviously keep us doing what we're doing and make us really proud of the work that we're doing. And we would love to partner with any of you who would be interested in supporting the work that we do.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate that. What is your coverage area for your offices in Oklahoma?
So in Oklahoma, we serve the greater Oklahoma City area. So we get referrals. We get a lot of referrals from the Probation Parole Office of Oklahoma County, but we've also had officers from Cleveland County, just surrounding counties, refer us participants, and we've been able to support them. The biggest key to a participant's ability to participate in the program is just, since we provide that transitional work, they need to be able to get to our offices in the city area. So we try to work with them to overcome any of those transportation barriers so that they can be involved in the program.
Right. And as you're working with people to stabilize their finances, get a job and a paycheck, do you work with them on any type of financial accounts, opening financial accounts, financial services?
Yeah, we have some embedded financial literacy services that we provide. We've partnered with credit unions in the past who have come in and done some presentations, and then provided incentives for our participants to create accounts, to open up accounts with them. So yeah, we have worked with financial institutions in the past, and we do kind of have that embedded financial literacy budgeting 101 kind of piece embedded into the program.
And then the request for $50,000, you're seeing that as a grant. Is there any other financing opportunities that you would see at this point?
We are open to any type of funding, direct funding, grants. Yeah, we're open to discussions on what just fits best.
Okay. Well, thanks so much. We know for sure that you're addressing a real need in the community. And well, I guess the one other quick question, it's a question I've asked several times, is how are you able to show that the individuals are low and moderate income? And now, and I'm asking that because that is a requirement for banks to be able to show for their community reinvestment obligations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are open to any person who has been released within the last 2 years from prison. And we collect those demographics as they come in and are referred to us. But as we know too, the majority of people who are coming and exiting out of incarceration who are in need of a program like this are high risk and high need, and come from low income and low socioeconomic backgrounds.
So that is documented through the intake process?
Yes.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Emily. Certainly appreciate learning more about this program.
Thank you so much.
So we'll go on to our next presentation. Lisa Dillon with Goodwill Industries of Central Oklahoma. It's going to be talking about a new training platform, Ready, Set, Experience. Lisa?
Good afternoon, everyone. Most of you are probably familiar with Goodwill, and you think of us as thrift stores. And while that's a huge part of what we do, the funding that we receive from those thrift stores is actually what funds our mission. And our mission is to help individuals who are high barrier find good jobs. And that's what we are asking you to come alongside with us today, is to talk about our new Ready, Set, Experience virtual reality training program, which is a new innovative way for Goodwill to approach training with individuals. Next slide. Our Goodwill virtual reality forklift program and employment skills training is what we are asking you to help fund. We believe in the power of work, and we absolutely know that a job changes an individual's life and that of their families. Our clients are high barrier. They struggle with transportation, homelessness, food insecurity, mental illness. The list goes on, several disadvantages. And so one of the problems that we see in our state that we want to try to rectify is to help these individuals that sometimes are forgotten to find, not only obtain work, but retain that job over time. The second thing that we see is that in Oklahoma, there's a huge gap between the number of open positions, especially in the area of trades, of the trades industry, that need to be filled immediately. As you see here on our slide, there are 1,000 open forklift jobs in the state of Oklahoma right now, with about 300 of those being here in the metropolitan area. We also know simulation training is a much safer way to learn to operate a forklift. And if someone has an accident, they can just hit reset. That doesn't happen in real life. So we think this is a neat way to get back to the community with some pre-employment training and giving them someone who is well ready to start working for them in a safe manner. And we know that forklift training can be a career ladder, a stepping stone into future jobs, and maybe even a career as a warehouse manager or in logistics. And so we see this as a stepping stone to get people started on a real career path that fits their needs. Finally, in the state of Oklahoma, we have a high population, almost half, that have 8th grade or below literacy levels in the areas of reading, writing, and math. So these individuals don't respond well always to traditional methods of training. So we're looking to bypass those gaps and help them get the skills and training that they need in a short amount of time so that they can get into jobs that pay well. Starting salary for forklifts about $15 an hour. That's anywhere from $5 to $7 an hour, sometimes more than they're currently making. That's life-changing. But it doesn't stop there. As they promote, they can make even more. Next slide, please. So who will we serve? This is our list. We'll serve anyone who's interested. But we have a primary focus right now that Amber will tell you, my partner in crime here, in just a moment. Youth who are struggling with homelessness or forced independence, and the foster youth, 16, 24, that are getting, especially at the end of that age group, are getting ready to transition out into the community and be outside the foster care system. We have a passion for supporting individuals who have been previously incarcerated and need a second chance in the work community. Those with disabilities often learn better by doing as opposed to something cognitive. This might be a great way to use simulation training, whether it's forklift or another software package, to help them grow and find work. And then finally, individuals with educational barrier. We're asking you to become a partner through grant funding for $100,000. This is Amber Lett. She is my Director of Training and Employment Development, and she's going to tell you now about the program itself.
All right, so thank you guys. This is a near and dear program to my heart because we are also starting our YEP program, which is our Youth Employment Preparation Program. So if we can go to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about who we've already started to partner with. So through this, we want to provide virtual reality training experiences. And who is the best population to do this with? Youth, right? They're already on their different gaming systems. They're already doing virtual reality training. And we need to entice our youth to find trades really interesting, because otherwise, a lot of them don't know what they're doing. We had a high school that was here yesterday, and we had 42 kids that were walking our halls, most of which did not know what they wanted to do when they grow up. But growing up for some of them is next year because they're seniors. So we want to give kids an opportunity to really have a means, because some of them are already helping to support their families right now. Some of them have 2 or 3 jobs that they're working to support their families today. That's a lot of pressure for a 17-year-old. So if they are a part of our YEP program, and that's Youth Employment Preparation Program, if you're following along with that piece, then this is a part of that program. They can come, they can learn the skill of virtual reality forklift, which also Lisa had mentioned, it makes it a much safer environment for people to start working in the forklift environment. It actually reduces accidents by 73%. So that's a pretty big deal for employers. And so they get to do that. They're enticed by the trade. They get to start working in the trade. And we've already hit the ground running in terms of people who want to partner with us on this. We started to talk to Pivot, and we're actually going to be hosting a number of classes there on site as part of our YEP program, which is really exciting. So we'll be teaching a number of different skills classes there at their site. We started to talk to the Department of Human Services, and they also want to partner with us from the foster care side of the house. We've also been working with probation and parole, or pardon and parole, and they have individuals who are going to be coming to our forklift class to be able to attend those classes so that those individuals also have an opportunity and a real shot at not returning back to a situation of incarceration. This program has a ton of potential, and we're about halfway to our goal. We are partially funded for this program, but we need this extra $100K in order to be able to fund it the rest of the way. As with COVID, as you can imagine, costs went way, way up. The first time I submitted for this, the cost was about 30% less than whenever I went to go and ask them for the costs on it again. And so costs have increased. So in order for us to fully fund our program, get everything going, and really impact Oklahoma, we need this extra $100,000 in order to support the program. Our goal is to get this thing started in January of 2022 and then send our first cohort through that class. We can put 10 kids, 10 formerly incarcerated in that classroom at a time with our designated trainers. We have a great group of 10 trainers who are there to serve our population and help change Oklahoma and the trajectory of a number of people's lives.
One of the software programs that come along with this is also for those who have been incarcerated before. And it's an interviewing skills package where they can interact and they can learn how to tell their story without telling too much. It's how to have an appropriate conversation about your past, being honest, but being professional and appropriate. So all this package together is going to really meet our clientele where they're at and help take them to the next level. We would be glad to answer any questions anyone has.
Great. Well, thank you. I'd like to start off for the platform itself. Are you able to expand it to other types of job training, or is it specifically for forklift?
So these are simulators, and there's going to be a total of 5 simulators themselves. We will also have Oculus headsets as well. On the Oculus, we can expand the different software programs on that, but the simulators themselves are restricted to forklift. But there are 3 different forklift devices that we're able to train on for those.
And in the future, we do want to expand virtual reality training as it makes sense to the disciplines that we're training our clients on.
And will this be a service that's provided for a fee to employers to have employees trained, or how will that work?
We are going to approach it with employers if they already have forklift individual employees that might be struggling or need some remediation, that they could come back in a safe environment, bring them to us, and for a fee, retrain those individuals. Our overhead for sending someone through is between $200 and $250. However, because we do serve at-risk folks, we're trying to find all kinds of grant sources and other things so that individuals don't have to pay themselves, but hopefully through grant funding or fee waivers or for other social programs that we're already a part of, like SNAP, that they can get those costs covered, because we don't want that to be prohibitive to their learning and participation.
And I know Goodwill has a large footprint. What's the footprint for this service? What area?
You bet. We are in 37 counties, from Kansas border down to Texas and out west. And so we have 37 counties that we can serve. The challenge that we have with this particular technology is the larger simulators aren't mobile. And so some of the smaller ones we might be able to take out. Certainly with the interviewing, Ocular, we could take that. And we do have a mobile unit, a mobile job connection center, that we can go to all those counties and serve. So we will be able to take that part of our virtual reality training out to everyone else. But the rest of it will probably be localized here at corporate.
And within the forklift world, is there a recognized certification that will be received through this training?
So we would provide the certificate of completion for this class. Whenever it comes to forklift, it's different than it was 10 years ago, where you had to bring in a certificate to an employer saying, hey, I've been forklift certified. What happens is now is that every employer then recertifies at their place of employment to ensure that that individual knows how. But what we can do is provide that certificate of completion, which is going to basically be a safety certificate that shows that they've gone through our virtual reality training.
Right. And I would say, with this proposal, as with many of the proposals that we have heard, it's showing innovation. It's responsive to locally identified needs with a very specific group that it's working with. I think those are all exciting things to think about. And also, it's an entryway to learning more about this organization, Goodwill, and all the range of services they offer. As we've heard from all the other presenters, there's so many different things that are going on. These proposals provide one entry point into learning more and engaging more. So thank you very much, Lisa and Amara, for your presentation. And I would encourage all the participants, please check that poll and check your interest in engaging in that conversation to learn more about the organization.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next slide. I'm going to go back from Oklahoma City to Tulsa, to the Community Action Project of Tulsa County. Carissa was going to talk about Career Advance, a program that they have there. Thank you, Carissa.
Yes, thank you guys so much for your time this afternoon. I really appreciate the opportunity to get to share with you a little bit about our work. I'm Carissa Coltman Burnett, the Assistant Director of Family Advancement at CAP Tulsa. And if you're not familiar with us, we serve approximately 2,000 diverse, low to moderate income families with young children aged 0 to 5 in Tulsa County. We utilize a 2-generation strategy where we pair high quality Head Start and early Head Start, early childhood education programming at 10 schools alongside a variety of interventions to expand opportunities for our parents with the ultimate mission that we help the whole family succeed. I know this question has come up a couple of times from Steve, so just to let you know, all the families that we serve must meet income requirements for Head Start and early Head Start, and that is documented through our intake process. So today I want to highlight our Career Advance career coaching opportunity for our parents. So could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So I assume that we're all looking forward to getting back to normal post-pandemic, correct? But we know that the world that we're returning to is not going to be the same. And this is especially true in the workplace. Early on in the pandemic at CAP Tulsa, we saw that many of our clients abruptly lost their employment. And even as the economy has tried to recover, parents of young children have faced enormous challenges with getting back to work. There have been so many uncertainties around, whether or not their children would be able to be in school or not. And it's really hard to commit to a job when you don't know what your childcare situation is going to be. Additionally, the skills needed to be successful in the workplace have also dramatically changed. And to emphasize my point, we are doing this meeting virtually today. And that's just a poignant example of how the workforce has had to pivot and develop new skills to successfully compete in a challenging and changing work landscape. And so a job seeker who's been out of the workplace due to the pandemic will also face additional skills hurdles in order to rejoin. So of course, all of this complicates the predicament that's playing out in our economy today, where you have employers who have open jobs and they can't find the talent that they need, and you have job seekers who are out there looking for jobs and can't find something that they are a good fit for within those available jobs. So how can career coaching help with that? So career coaching is an evidence-based approach that helps workers, and in this case specifically, our CAP Tulsa parents, get back to work by helping them not only connect better with those hiring employers, but also supporting them in developing the skills needed to be competitive in this post-pandemic economy. So a career coach acts as sort of an expert guide. They can help a job seeker navigate and evaluate possible career pathways and connect to appropriate trainings required for that job. We've seen a lot of opportunities for trainings here today, but if you're sort of unsure of what's the right fit for you, a career coach can be sort of a helpful advisor in thinking through a number of different opportunities. A career coach can also provide support and accountability for completing those job search tasks and sort of encouragement along the way if things are difficult. And they can also help a parent sort of co-develop strategies to overcome employment barriers. That those can be, simple and complex, but sometimes having that sounding board to help you think through your next steps can be really valuable. So next slide, please. And CAP Tulsa is actually very uniquely positioned to connect our parents to better employment opportunities. Not only have we developed a trusted rapport with the clients that we serve through our early childhood work, but we also bring 10 years of workforce experience offering career coaching services to families through our Career Advance program, where over the last decade, we have served more than 500 parents in successfully completing an in-demand healthcare certification and also obtaining a job in that sector. We've been able to do that in part because of a very robust federal grant, the Health Professions Opportunity Grant, through which we have built very strong partnerships in the community with training providers in a wide variety of sectors. And when that federal grant expires at the end of this month, they will continue to provide those training opportunities to the community, including our families. However, from the decade of experience that we have in this work, we realize that if we really actually want to see our clients successfully obtaining better jobs, it's not enough that there are jobs in the community or that there's training opportunities available to them. Our clients still need support in navigating that process and really connecting to those opportunities, help with troubleshooting, and just that encouragement with the process. So going forward, CAP Tulsa's Career Advance program will focus directly on filling that service gap for our families through the role of career coaching to help make those connections happen between our clients and employers. Our career coach is bilingual and will offer career coaching in both English and Spanish and work with a variety of career needs from our diverse clients. Next slide, please. So the expiration of this federal grant provides a really unique opportunity for us to welcome new investors into this work. We're here today because we do need recurring financial support to fund a career coaching specialist after that federal grant expires. Our specific grant ask today is $60,000 towards funding this critical staff member, but really any funding amount would allow us to move this work forward. Our staff member would allow us to offer coaching to around 75 to 100 parents a year. We're also interested in just developing new partnerships with other employers, workforce trainers, and adult educators. So connections and introductions to potential partners in this work are priceless. So in summary, we're looking for champions of creating ways for low to moderate income workers to get back to work in this post-pandemic economy. So if you think that might be you, or if you have introductions that you might be able to make to us that would further our work, I would love to speak with you. So thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Carissa, and thanks for the clear ask and the range of opportunities to engage with CAP TC. And I know that CAP Tulsa has done this work and very much evidence-based, and so there's that to draw on. One other connection I'd like to just bring out is this world of coaching is something that is really evolving in a number of sectors. And the idea of even financial education is moving into this idea of financial coaching. So being able to develop a partnership and learn from your model could be very, very attractive to organizations and to banks. I was wondering, how many folks do you see this person serving? You can repeat that.
Sure. I think we are still interested in sort of exploring. If we had additional coaches, we could serve more. But based on our previous experience, one coach can serve around 75 to 100 people a year. It kind of depends on how how intensive the coaching needs to be. Some people, it will be like maybe one meeting to kind of think through things. Others will need multiple coaching sessions.
Good. And your area of service is Tulsa
The
City, or
Tulsa County.
Tulsa County? Okay, excellent. Good. Well, certainly appreciate that. Oh, you did mention a Head Start income. It was kind of what is the Head Start income? How does that relate to low and moderate income average?
It's up to about 130% of the federal poverty level.
Okay. All right. And you do have that documented, so you are able to share that with potential funders.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Carissa. I think you rounded out our presentations. So if we go to the next slide, just a little bit of housekeeping. I know it sounds like a broken record, but the audience members, please fill out your funder response forms. You doing that on the poll that is online is the easiest way of doing that and the most direct. We will shortly send you the contacts for all the organizations that you have expressed interest in, as well as send each organization your contact information if you're interested in them. And it's just an expression of interest, no obligation at all. It kicks off that conversation. And as we've seen, we have some very specific, concrete proposals presented. But I think the beauty of this is that that opens the door to really find other ways, additional ways that you can engage with these organizations to meet both your funding needs as well as local community needs. We will be sending out an evaluation to you by email. We'd appreciate it if you would take time to look that over and send us any comments. My information is here. You've received emails from me. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions at all or would like additional information. And then you can also go to our website where we have additional information about Investment Connection, how you can make use of it. So with that, I think we'd like to wrap up. Definitely appreciate the time that you provided and look forward to hearing about the connections that you're going to make in our communities. Thank you very much.